It's 5:50 a.m. I'm about to go do my workout. This is my pre-workout snack, medium-sized banana and 4 dates. I got my workout done and now I'm doing my red light therapy like I do every day. And yes, I did get a second panel. I did an unboxing video of the second panel for you guys. My husband is going to mount them on the wall at some point, so I'll have them, up and down, which will be amazing. I mentioned in my first video about my initial reactions or results from the sugar diet that my HRV jumped up 10 milliseconds, which was crazy. I totally didn't expect that. That was immediate, like after the first day of starting this high carb, low fat diet. But I will mention again that the thing that has increased my HRV more than anything else is red light therapy. I was running at about 40 millisecond average per day. Within a week of starting my red light therapy, it went from 40 to in the 70s. And then I did a few extra things like dry brushing and vibration plate while I was doing red light therapy. And that bumped my HRV up into like the 80 millisecond range, in the 80s. And so now with adding on the high carb, low fat stuff, it's in the 90s, which is wild. It sometimes drops in the 80s, but like high 80s, low 90s. But anyways, if you're looking for a way to increase your HRV, and if you don't know what HRV is, there's a real quick, it's a real quick Google search. But if you're looking for a way to increase your HRV, red light therapy is going to be super, super effective. At least it was in my experience. It is 9 a.m. I have been sipping on my coffee with my 1 tablespoon of half and half. I mentioned in my previous video that I am allowing myself 1 tablespoon of half and half for my coffee in the morning. It doesn't add much of anything really. And then I am going to go ahead and have this 1 pound of cantaloupe. That's all that kind of sounded good. I was thinking I probably need more for a full meal, but I'm not terribly hungry, so I'm gonna go ahead and eat this and kind of see how I feel. It's almost noon, and this is what I'm gonna have for my lunch. I have 2 small apples cut up here, and I have 2 medium-sized bananas. I'm trying, it's like I could eat an apple or an apple and a banana and feel like, oh, I've had enough. But then I'm hungry like an hour later because that's so little food. And so I'm trying to eat a little bit bigger meals and having a little more time in between. So I know 4 pieces of fruit in 1 meal. It is weird times. It's a little after 3 p.m. and I'm ready for my first protein and starch meal. I may have some fruit after this if I still feel like it. Not the most appetizing looking dish I've ever made. It's a little weird, but it's what I had in the fridge that I needed to use. So here we go. I did a quarter cup of, I measured dry quinoa and a quarter cup measured dry of red lentils. I cooked those in some chicken broth. And then I just stirred in some like tricolor coleslaw mix that I needed to use up in the fridge. I didn't even cook it. I just stirred it into the hot lentils and quinoa, and I think that'll soften it a little bit. And then I have 3 chicken tenderloins here. I just quickly cooked them in the air fryer, and I coated them with Redmond seasoned salt. So I think it's going to be fairly tasty, but it is a little bit weird of a dish, nothing too exciting. The amount of chicken here, I measured it raw. I think it was 5.4 ounces, something like that. So this is going to give me a big hit of protein. I've got on my brand new Redmond Real Salt hoodie. I love it. I don't know why I haven't had a hoodie or a t-shirt for Redmond Real Salt before. I feel like I have needed one for a long time. All right, let's see how this combination works out. Not bad. I've always liked red lentils and quinoa together. I've made a soup, and I started making a soup years and years ago that was quinoa, red lentil, chicken stew. Super, super good. I'll have to make that again. I could make it low fat enough that it would work for this experiment that I'm doing. Of course, it didn't have cabbage in there, but the cabbage adds a nice little crunch to it. So it's not bad. Heading out for an evening walk slash bike ride. A couple of the kids are going to youth group, and so Renee and I, and my husband has Levi right now. He might get dropped off to us, so it might be me and Renee and Levi, or maybe just me and Renee. We'll see. We are gonna go do a walk slash bike ride while they're doing their youth group thing, so we don't have to go drop them off, come home, go back, pick them up again. A lot of driving. So we've been doing that. It's been really fun. And so I'm packing some snacks just in case we need something. And I have to say, fruit is the ultimate like to-go food. It's pre-packaged and so easy to take. Since the kids might want stuff as well, I just grabbed 3 little apples, a couple bananas, and a bag of dates. We are out on our walk. The kids are riding their bikes. I'm walking, so they have to like come back to me every once in a while because they go too fast for me. But I thought I would chat just real quick about some observations about, how this is going. One negative thing that I will mention is that I have had some headaches on this plan, and I'm thinking it's probably electrolyte rebalancing because it has been a fairly big shift. I mean, I went from eating around 200 grams of carbs per day to eating 300 to 400 grams per day, and then lowering my fat down. So, I mean, it's not as extreme as going from carnivore to the sugar diet, but it definitely was an adjustment. And so I think my electrolytes are rebalancing. I have found that consuming supplemental electrolytes has continued to be very important. I was wondering with the increased carbohydrates if my need for electrolytes would go down, but it has not, and it might even be increasing. And that kind of makes sense because there's not a ton of sodium in fruit. And so I'm not adding salt to my fruit like I would add salt maybe if I was eating something else for breakfast. And so I think the electrolytes are seeming to be key for me. And I need to start remembering to drink them earlier in the morning. I think that's going to help. So that's one thing that I'm working through. So this CGM that I have on is my second one of the Stello brand. I had the other one on for 2 weeks, and then I had about a week in between. No, it probably wasn't even quite a week in between. Several days in between. And then now I have the second one on. And it is running consistently 20 points high, which is frustrating. But I've checked it twice now, and I will check it a few more times just to be sure. And it has been consistently 20 points higher than what my finger prick is coming in. And I have a feeling that the last CGM that I had was running a little bit low. And so I talked about how shocked I was at how low my blood sugar was. And that may have been exaggerated. What wasn't exaggerated, I don't think, was the drop from how I was eating before I started and then the 3 days that I did it. Because one thing that a CGM is great for is showing the changes in blood sugar. And so even if it's running 10 points high or 10 points low, you can still see the level of change depending on what you do. So I had the same CGM and I was eating, the way I was eating before. And then I started this whole food sugar diet and I saw my average blood sugar drop. And so I think that was accurate. I just think it may not have been as low as I thought based on the last CGM. So I think that one was low. I definitely know this one is high. And so I'm going to have to kind of make some adjustments in my head as I'm looking at it. I can't adjust it on the app, unfortunately. So I'll just have to remember minus 20 points. And so when I show you my blood sugar data, I'll remind you again, but keep that in mind. It's running 20 points high. What is that?
It's like a type of centipede.
Yeah?
I think it might be poisonous because I saw a video that they found this. They found this one.
They found that one?
Yeah,
and
they saw
like the one with yellow dots is poisonous or something?
Yeah, they said that.
Okay, well, don't touch it then.
Yeah. Like if I did.
Good find, though. Yeah, definitely don't eat it. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Those clouds look so amazing. We still have a few more minutes to kill, and so we came to the park for the kids to play for a minute, but before that we stopped by the store real fast, and they had some really nice looking pears, Bartlett pears, and this one was ripe. I dug through them. There was one that was ripe. And so I grabbed that. I'm going to eat this. The kids ate a bunch of the fruit that I brought, but I'm also going to eat these dates real quick, and this will probably be the last thing I have for the evening. It's like 7:40 right now, so I think this is all I'm going to need for the day, but I'm just going to sit down, relax, and enjoy a little bit more fruit. Here's a quick view of all the foods I ate today. You can pause this if you want to look at everything. Then also here is the macro breakdown. The calories that I consumed, I want to make a note of this. This is the least amount of calories I have eaten since I have started this, and I think it's because I was filming. It was also a busy day, but I think it was mainly because I was filming, and I'm trying to be really dedicated with getting my exact blood sugar response from each meal. So I'm making sure that I have exactly, or at least 2 hours between each meal. And it ended up that caused me to eat fewer calories than normal. When I do more of these videos, I'm going to try to not let that happen, but I think that's what happened. I've been eating around 2,000 calories a day, and that has been normal for me, so 1,600 definitely the least I've eaten so far. Now on to the nutrition breakdown. I'm not really going to go in depth into this, but you can pause again and look at all the individual things. Definitely some areas where I'm not getting all of the nutrients I need, which is to be expected with the reduction in fat. Of course, the fat-soluble vitamins are quite low. That's something that I wouldn't want to go on for very long for sure. I did not try to micromanage my nutrient intake throughout the day. I was just trying to put in everything that I was eating just to get an idea of where my nutrients were landing. So we're still in the data collection phase here. Next, over to the blood sugar. As I mentioned before, the CGM is running 20 points high. I have checked it multiple times now, and it's always at least 20 points high. This is an overview of the entire day, and now let's go into each individual meal. First is my morning pre-workout snack with the 20-point adjustment. I was 88 before I had it. I peaked at 117, and then I was 84 2 hours later. Next meal is the 16 ounces of cantaloupe with my coffee with 1 tablespoon of half and half. For this one, my blood sugar started at 99. It peaked at 121, and then it was 194 2 hours later. I'm having to do all this math in my head, and we're going to get through it. Next was lunch, the 2 small apples and 2 medium bananas. I started with a blood sugar of 94. I peaked at a blood sugar of 43, and that was my highest peak for the day. But then at the 2 hour mark, I was back down to 96. Then my starch and protein meal for dinner, I started with a blood sugar of 88. I peaked at 113, and then 2 hours later, I was at 91. 91. So I got a 100 score on that one, which was fantastic. Last snack of the evening was the pear and the dates. I started with a blood sugar of 84, I peaked at 119, and then I was 95 2 hours later. The glucose variability is not affected by the CGM being 20 points high or low, so that 13 number is accurate. 13 is in the very good range. Anything 14 or below is considered good. 15 to I forget what is okay, and then after that it needs attention. So I was in the good range for glucose variability. And then with the 20-point adjustment, it says that my average glucose for the day was 92. I did adjust the range on the app to reflect that the CGM was running 20 points high. So that time in range percentage is accurate. I was in range between 70 and 140 for 99% of the day. That 1% was when I went just barely over 140. I think I spiked at 143 after the lunch meal. Then my minimum glucose for the day was 69. My maximum glucose for the day was that 143 after lunch. And then my sleep average was 82 and my morning average was 81. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this day of eating. I have some more of these kinds of videos coming, as well as videos with me chatting about my thoughts about all of this, because right now I'm still kind of in a data collection phase, and I'll be thinking everything through and deciding what I'm going to do moving forward after this and all of that. So stick around for more.